Chiefs Kingdom, we are 7-2 after an impressive win against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And oh yeah, your new number one seed in the AFC as the Minnesota Vikings defeat the Buffalo Bills. With that, we are going to dive into my instant reaction. But before we do all that, please be sure you subscribe to the channel and like this video, as I'm going to keep you up to date on anything Kansas City Chief related that you do not want to miss out on. And without further ado, let's have some fun. This game against the Jacksonville Jaguars was interesting to say the least. It had everything. It had basically the Kansas City Chiefs wanting the Jaguars to win this game, and then it had the Jacksonville Jaguars basically saying, no, we don't want this game. And we're going to get into all of that. But one of the key focal points that caught my eye, and yes, I am diving right into it. We're going to be jambled. We're going to be scrambled everywhere in this video, but we're going to get to everything. But the number one thing that caught my eye, and I didn't notice it until the fourth quarter, until Mahomes threw that interception to Cisco, which, by the way, screw Cisco, we will get into that as well, is the Kansas City Chiefs. This is just how good of a football team they are. And when they are clicking, they are nearly unstoppable. And the only team that will beat them is themselves. And that's basically why this game looked closer on paper than what it probably was on the field, was that the Kansas City Chiefs had 3 turnovers in this game. The Jacksonville Jaguars didn't turn the ball over once, and Kansas City still won by double digits. This game could have been easily a blowout, and Chiefs Kingdom, you know, it's very hard to find a blowout from the Kansas City Chiefs. They like to keep every game competitive and enticing and having me stressed out in the final minutes. Now, this game wasn't like that, but you watching the game and you seeing it on paper and the final scores, like, this game was much closer on paper than what the game actually was played. And let's start off in the first quarter, because Jacksonville, it was a team I was very concerned about coming into this game because their record doesn't describe who they are as a team. They are a very inconsistent team. That is correct. But they have talent. They have weapons. They are well coached. And another stat that caught my eye that Romo mentioned was Jacksonville has never lost by a single possession in a game till today, and they have been in every game. So this is a hard-fought, notch team that I mentioned is well coached, and they will find a way to turn it around. It's just Doug Peterson mentioned this was going to be a leveling stick type of game, and they wanted to see where the Jaguars were at, and they're just not on Kansas City's level, and we all knew that. But they came out aggressive and early, and they surprised us all. Actually, the Kansas City Chiefs surprised me more than the Jaguars to start this game off, was because they won the coin toss, and we all know when Kansas City wins the coin toss, they defer and they want the ball at half. That wasn't the case here. They decided, hey, we're going to receive and we're going to hit them with the punch right away. Jacksonville had other things in plan, and they went with the onside kick. Peterson mentioned they were going to be aggressive, and they were aggressive from the opening kickoff. The only thing that confused me was this, and the defense of the Kansas City Chiefs played magnificent early on. But the thing that confused me here, and it's mostly on Jacksonville's side, which I'm not going to question much either because, hey, I'm a fan for it. When you say you're going to be aggressive, and then you show you're aggressive early on, and then you have 2 successful, first down and second down plays, but then when it comes third and short and fourth and short, you end up punting on your first 2 series. I'm just like, that's not really aggressive, specifically when it's 3rd and 2, when it's 4th and 1, and when you're on opposing territory as well, approaching field goal range. I was just thinking, hey, they're going to be aggressive and they're going to go for it on 4th down, and that just wasn't the case, which threw me off. It's like, how are you going to go for an onside kick but then not go for it on 4th and inches? Just wasn't adding up to me either. But let's focus on this Kansas City Chiefs defense to start off in the first half, because they looked great, as I mentioned. Did they play a perfect game? No, they did not. But they did what I expected them to do, and it basically carried on to last week too. And honestly, they're a testament to why this game was basically still, if you want to say blowout, but a double-digit margin at best, because no team, I think Romo mentioned that too. Teams that turn the ball over 3 times and the other team that doesn't turn it over at all, they're 0-22. That just is a testament to how good the Kansas City Chiefs defense was, that they were locking up whatever Jacksonville was doing, and they made sure, hey, yeah, the offense can struggle here and there, but we're going to make sure to lock it up, and we're going to do our thing. And also, too, I want to mention, for fans who didn't see the game, the only turnover, 2. The turnovers were a Pacheco fumble and then a Jody Fortson fumble on a kickoff return before half, and then Mahomes he does this when he wants to basically add more, put the icing on the cake. He tries to force passes, and he forced a pass, and he threw an interception. And For the Kansas City Chiefs defense to basically hold down and have us a double-digit win margin is really, like I mentioned, the third time. I'm going to keep saying it. That's how these instant reaction videos goes, but it's a testament what they did on the field today. Yes, they weren't perfect, but they did a lot to show. The growth is there, and they basically stole the show for me today. And the offense, they played very, very well too. Honestly, I'm surprised I'm choosing the defense, but it's probably because I expect offense to do this. And that was a thing I came in hoping that they would do was, hey, show that they are still a well-knit offense, which we all knew. But when you have a game like against the Tennessee Titans, you're just like, oh, we need to turn it around. We need to click. And they were. And a lot of people had a first today. MVS had his first touchdown. Kadarius Toney, welcome to the party. He played more than what was expected, but we'll get into that as well. And they both showed up. Kadarius Toney, he is going to be a stud in this league, and it's all because the New York Giants traded him to us. He looks like he is well knit in this offense, and he looks magnificent. He was making plays all over the field, and it was a sight to see. And then you got the likes of Travis Kelce doing Travis Kelce-like things, and then we're going to get to the elephant in the room, and it is Juju. Juju, I think he was on pace to have a really good game. He is your possession receiver. He will do what needs to be done, but he took an unfortunate shot to the head that I am still livid about and pissed because I just don't understand how you can take that flag off the play. No, not even. No matter how many times you rewind it, Cisco led with his helmet and he knocked Juju out unconscious. And I just don't get it. I can understand how you pick up some ticky-tacky flags. That is not one you pick up, no matter if he led with the shoulder or not. When a player is unconscious on the ground, something happened to take him out, and it wasn't a shoulder. You could hear it on TV. You could probably hear it in the stands. You heard the clang. It was helmet to helmet. At best, it was a hit on a defenseless receiver, and he came in like a missile straight to Juju's head. I just don't get it. Not we, but the NFL preaches on, player safety and all that. And then you do that. Like, it's inexcusable. It's very, very bad refereeing at best. Like, there's no way you pick up that flag. And I'm not just saying that as a Chiefs fan. I'm saying it as a fan of the game, too, because to see that happen and then to see a ref actually go back and pick up a flag, it's really disgusting. And then you have a few plays later where Cisco does the same thing to MVS. Not as bad, but he came in with his head to try to take MVS out again. And I'm just like, what are we doing here? It doesn't make sense whatsoever. And then they pick up that flag too. Well, they didn't pick up that flag. They called the holding call instead on a different cornerback. But when you're like this and you basically shoot up and try to take MVS out, you can make a case maybe it was for the ball, but I'm not buying that because he was headhunting, and it's just very, very inexcusable, and the league needs to do better because you preach on player safety, but in this game, it wasn't shown anywhere too. And honestly, this was a very bad ref game, but I'm not going to complain either because I'm the type, I want to see the plays play, and I want to see the players play as well. And there was multiple times on the Chiefs side where I'm not going to complain again because they're going to play, but Mahomes drew them offside and they didn't call it. And I'm just like, what are we doing here? I get let them play, but again, I try not to focus on the refs as it is, but it was very badly refed, but they did let him play for the most part. But when you have hits like that and you have obvious calls happening like that, they need to be called. And it was just inexcusable, and it was very bad at the least. But at the end of the day, Mahomes is Mahomes, and he did what he does best, and he should be your front-runner MVP candidate. Josh Allen shouldn't be in that discussion. Honestly, if you want to have anyone in discussion with him, might as well be Tyreek Hill, like former Kansas City Chiefs player. Both them boys are balling. They're both doing good without each other, and it is beautiful to see. I'm glad Hill's doing his thing. And Mahomes, he is the best quarterback in the league. There's no one touching him, and he just proved it today. Another 4-touchdown game, an inexcusable interception, but it was nothing that affected the game. Over 300 yards, and he got everyone involved, and that's what I wanted to mention here too, because with the lights of a McCole Hardman already missing, and then you have the lights of now with Juju out for the game, and we're going to get more into that throughout the week if he's going to miss the Chargers game. If I had to bet on it, I think he is. But these receivers stepped up, and like I mentioned, Kadarius Toney is him. But then you have the lights of a Noah Gray coming in with a big touchdown in his first on the year too. And then also, nothing too flashy, but I love to see it, and I still have I still have big question marks on the kid because they're starting the Rays. But Sky Moore, he had 2 catches in this game. He is very sure-handed. He will catch whatever comes his way. My thing is separation and speed. And I didn't really start questioning it until that last kickoff return in special teams. Man, we're going to get into that as well. That is a heartache. But Sky Moore on a kickoff return, it's just like he looks slow. He looks so slow. He tried to hit a corner, and it just wasn't going to happen. And I don't know if this is going to take more and more time to evolve or what, but he's starting to raise my eyebrows a little more and questioning him. I think his hands are legit. It's just he needs to create more separation and use his speed to his advantage, which is very, very surprising to me, to say the least, because with someone who ran in the 4.3s and it's not showing on the field, it's kind of bothering, to say the least. And now we're going to focus and switch gears and go into the running game. And the running game, nothing great, nothing magnificent, but I think we found our lead back. And again, I think it raised a lot of people's eyebrows, but not me. And I love the rotation they went with when they mostly just focused on Pacheco and McKinnon. And I think CEH only saw the field 3 times a day. And I think that's what you need to do. And I even questioned a lot, too, when they brought CEH or Jet McKinnon. Is like, just keep pounding Pacheco. And Pacheco, he had a very crucial fumble early on in the red zone. But Reed loves to give players second chances, and that's what he did. And you could tell Pacheco was running angry. If we get that type of Pacheco, he might be the future back in KC. I don't know. He's going to need more snaps. But today, I saw his vision very much improve. He was actually finding holes. He was actually running through defenders, and he was making plays, and he had a burst. All I asked from this running game was, just give me a spark. I don't care who it is. I want to see someone step up. And today, I saw Pacheco step up, and I also saw McKinnon step up. But I saw McKinnon step up in a different facet of the game, which was the receiving game. He was Mahomes' reliable 3rd down receiver when Juju was out, and he was making plays. If that's going to be your 2-headed duo moving forward, I would love it. I want to see that moving forward. I might get hate for this, I might not, because I'm a huge CEH fan, but I think CEH playing days in KC are done. I don't think he needs to see the field if these two are clicking on that level. I don't think you mess up that rotation. I don't even think McKinnon should have came in and messed up Pacheco's rotation, because Pacheco was doing his thing. And I just think just keep pounding it and pounding it and pounding it until they stop it. And he looked good after the fumble. He looked very impressive. Now let's see how it goes in a Sunday night against the Chargers. Chargers don't have a very good rush defense. This is the time to see what you got in this running game. And if it's Pacheco, you feed that horse moving forward. But this offense looked amazing. They had a couple of turnovers, but they answered the bell and they were moving on forward. Now we're going to switch the script and go to the defense, because as I mentioned, the defense looked great, and the guy I want to focus on the most, actually there's a few kind of guys I want to focus on here. One, we're going to go with the basically best defensive player of the year in my eyes, and it is Chris Jones. He had a sack and a half. Carlos Dunlap, welcome to the 100 sack club, because he looked good as well, and he keeps progressing week in and week out, and you guys can take who you want, but I think Dunlap has been a way better addition than Melvin Ingram. His production has been way, way more too. Karlaftis, I feel like he is so close to a sack. You see the motor, you see the relentlessness. He just can't get there. The pressures are still there. But one who had a motor as well was Leo Chanel. He didn't give up on the play where he got his first NFL sack, and it was a sight to see. I think we had 5 sacks today. The pressure was amazing. The production was amazing as well. If Spags can keep drawing up these type of schemes, this defense is going to be locked down every week, and teams, even if they have the best offenses, are going to have trouble moving the ball against this team. And that's what I'm excited to see next week. We're going up against the Chargers, who are going to bring I'm drawing blanks on words now. Can you believe that? But they're going to bring a great threat. If they have Mike Williams back, Eckler, of course, and Justin Herbert is a top-notch quarterback. If they can do that against him and we can shut them down and get a game up on the AFC West, that is all I am begging for. This was a huge weekend for Chiefs Kingdom. We got a huge W. Buffalo got handed an L. And if the Chargers can get an L tonight and KC can beat them again next week, that AFC looks like it's going to be running through Arrowhead. And another guy I wanted to mention on defense, I know I'm scrambled everywhere. That's what happens in these instant reaction videos when I'm all hyped up and this is fun to talk about. But Trent McDuffie, He allowed his first catch. It was unfortunate. He was in good position. Zay Jones is just a big physical receiver. It's going to happen, but that boy is clamps. He is locked down. He played great today. And another thing I saw from him, and I saw it a little bit last week too, is he's a physical cornerback. He goes in for the tackles. He looks very, very good. And I think he is having an island after him so quickly. And that is a facet of this game we need, because you have a rotation on the outside with a Williams and a Watson, and a guy who didn't have a really good game today, and he tends to not in coverage, is Snead, which is kind of unfortunate to see. But Snead plays in mostly a safety kind of blitz packages. He's all over the field. He's someone basically Spags relies on as a Matthew is. He's his Swiss Army knife, and he's going to have him flying, zooming all over the field. But when it comes to coverage, Snead can get got, and I think he gave up 2 touchdowns today. And maybe that's something the Kansas City Chiefs got to look moving forward too. Is like, the guys who Snead is covering, do we have to put McDuffie on them and then move Watson to the outside or Williams to the outside, and you play Snead specifically in the slot? But even the touchdown they gave was a slot, but it was an outside fade too. So Snead just got to improve in more assets of the game, but also, too, he is a magnificent player. He came in on some blitzes. He made his presence known, so I'm not going to slight him anyway. Another guy on the defense. There is so many guys on this defense to focus on. It's crazy. I haven't even mentioned the lights of like a Nick Bolton, but the guy I wanted to focus on here is Willie Gay might be the best linebacker on this team. He is flying all around the ball. He had a couple good deflections, and his presence is well known. And I feel so good moving forward knowing that our linebacking core consists of guys like a Willie Gay, a Nick Bolton, and a Leo Chanel. If you could lock these guys down for the next 8 to 10 years, this defense is going to be so much fun to watch. And now, we're going to transition to the part of the ball where I just can't believe we struggle week in and week out, and it's just mind-boggling. And it's the special teams. Dave Tove's special teams usually don't struggle like this, and if they do, they know how to answer back. And it's so frustrating, you guys. I just don't get it. Because if we can get that right, this team is going to be so hard to stop if they aren't already. But Fortson, he had an unfortunate fumble, which I get it, but I don't. But he doesn't usually recover a kickoff. It was a squib kick, but at the end of the day, just go down. Don't do anything stupid. And then I mentioned Sky Moore as well. He just doesn't look fast. I don't know. I know when Hardman comes back, he's your returner. Not even. Like, Pacheco should have been out there, but Pacheco is getting more of the snaps, so it's just interesting to see. Kadarius Toney, he was your punt returner. He fielded them well. He had some questionable ones where he, basically should have let bounce in the end zone, but he's a fun player. He's going to make it exciting. It's just be careful with the ball. And Chris Lamons, I know he left the game early with the injury, so I don't want to go too hard on him here, but what are you doing? It's the first punt of the game where you're receiving, and I know it touched the Jacksonville Jaguar first, but don't put yourself in that type of position. Just let it bounce. At the end of the day, you were going to be down on where you received it. What if that didn't touch Jacksonville? Because honestly, initially, I didn't think it did. So I was like, what are we doing here? And such a lot of questionable plays by the Kansas City Chiefs, but they ended up coming out with a huge victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars, 27-17, 7-2, your new number 1 seed in the AFC. Next week, they got a huge game against the LA Chargers to get a full game over the Chargers. Well, we'll see. They could get a 2-game lead. San Francisco, I'm a huge fan of you tonight. But Chiefs Kingdom, dive in the comments down below. How are you feeling after this victory? I am stoked. This is a great way to end the week, going into a huge game next week. 7-2, never felt better. First place in the conference, never felt better. Chiefs Kingdom, let's talk, let's discuss, let's have fun. I'm signing out, but before I do that, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Give me that big thumbs up and like this video. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Sunday.